There are likely many items you deem entirely personal. Some credentials, a journal, an awkward soundtrack, perhaps a search record you'd sooner carry to the tomb, or a certain directory on your computer bearing a highly harmless-looking label that remains completely unwholesome inside. Yet consider this concept, this impulse, this profound, virtually primal desire to possess something that's solely yours. How did it truly start? Is it strictly contemporary? Did it emerge alongside the creation of locks, the web, blinds, streaming logins? Or did the dude hacking away at an arrowhead tip 40,000 years past likewise crave occasionally to simply remain totally alone? This is what we're sorting out now. Yet initially, what truly constitutes a secret existence? In the contemporary context, we normally tend to view seclusion like a form of tangible and mental territory. Your sanctuary, your musings, your individual decisions, the details you won't post on your resume, the topics you surely won't bring up during holidays. Yet if one peels it down toward its undeniable naked essence, seclusion is truly exactly this: data or domain which you manage, while others cannot. That's all. That's the entire concept. This implies strictly, solitude doesn't demand a gate. It doesn't need a smartphone. It doesn't even necessitate a residence. It merely necessitates the capacity to obscure anything. Moreover, humankind, including those incredibly ancient ancestors, proved completely phenomenal at hiding matters. Indeed speaking, this talent for deceiving, for maintaining mysteries, for exhibiting varying facets regarding ourselves contingent upon whoever is observing, remains far from contemporary creations. That's debatably among some very ancient mental instruments within our species' repertoire, potentially older than speech altogether. Plus, it begins much, much sooner than we assume. Researchers analyzing apes, humanity's nearest breathing cousins, have recorded intentional trickery across natural habitats. One primate concealing snacks against an alpha leader. Another ape feigning to act apathetic toward a mate whenever a competitor stands looking, subsequently looping around afterwards. Tactical hiding, simulated apathy. Seem recognizable? Today, apes and mankind split roughly 6 million years past, therefore suggesting those origins regarding secrecy-focused actions could span 6 million years back. We didn't create stealthiness. We simply became very, very skilled doing so. Let's step backward further. We're discussing approximately 300,000 years before. Homo sapiens remains completely novel. Our planet feels truly horrifying. There were felines, mastodons, competing bands representing mankind that could utterly destroy your afternoon. Giant beasts matching dimensions of compact vehicles, alongside zero clinics. Lifespan length is not anything you wish to search, and still researchers have unearthed funeral grounds during this epoch. And here's when things get intriguing. That method early societies entombed deceased relatives teaches everyone something profound. Since we wouldn't enter anybody showing respect, utilizing exact placement, applying red dyes alongside crafted necklaces, or intentional burial offerings, unless we're now viewing regarding them being somebody, an entity, a human possessing an internal mindset which appeared separate than anybody else's. This suggests how around 300,000 years backward, there existed a notion regarding identity, a feeling ensuring the human that merely perished seemed not simply one piece within the tribe, nor simply a corpse, rather acting as particular individuals. They held an independent connection toward the environment, an independent narrative, so here's wherefore this counts regarding secrecy. Whenever one holds a notion regarding identity, they nearly unavoidably formulate a framework regarding personal possessions against another's possessions, separating personal musings against theirs, separating knowledge, which applies to oneself, against knowledge which applies to everybody. Those foundational elements behind secluded living exist currently present, ingrained throughout this core concept concerning singular selfhood. One cannot maintain an identity unless maintaining a hidden identity. These concepts arrive bundled together seamlessly forever. Next, we should discuss where prehistoric populations genuinely resided, since this construction, or the absence of such, reveals an intriguing tale. Throughout majority periods marking Paleolithic eras, societies resided within somewhat modest nomadic groups, approximately 20 through 50 members. Plus, I need everyone to truly visualize this throughout one moment. Never theoretically, Actually envision this. 20 through 50 humans. Those identical 20 through 50 members. During all moments, each dinner, each sunrise, each evening, circling flames, inside dwellings, inside caverns, slumbering under arm's distance from one another, recognizing somebody's wheeze, somebody's resting routine, somebody's temper, somebody's romantic conflicts. Regardless you wished this or declined. We find zero barriers to shut. We find zero I'll stay inside my chamber. We possess zero chambers. We hold zero space accommodating any chamber. Thus, seemed solitude simply unachievable? Appeared early collective existence essentially a lengthy, unavoidable community dialogue containing zero silence toggles? Not precisely. Plus here represents when things become legitimately captivating. Sociologists that analyze current foraging communities, populations surviving through manners which remain significantly similar towards our primeval forebears, frequently observe anything compelling yet uniform throughout drastically varied civilizations. Also within intensely shared environments, humans discover methods for forging personal solitude. They utilize societal norms rather than material barriers. Across numerous heritage groups, there exist mutual silent guidelines. We avoid staring straight toward anyone while they perform specific activities. We never access a designated zone inside the dwelling during specific periods. We avoid posing specific inquiries. Whenever somebody pivots aside against their gathering while viewing the boundary, we let them rest. When anybody wanders towards the woods taking a specific path, nobody pursues. Such unseen partitions remain equally as valid like tangible versions, occasionally increasingly valid, since violating these constitutes a severe communal transgression, far harsher, debatably, compared to pounding upon a gateway, since we realize what we're attempting. There's zero I hadn't noticed whenever those standards breathe throughout that society. Seclusion, we figure out, needn't require infrastructure. It demands consensus. Plus, prehistoric populations seemed entirely competent at forming alongside honoring packs. While discussing mutual understandings, let's converse regarding one among the highly secretive acts which have historically occurred across mortal civilizations: copulation. Indeed, we're heading here. Today, among a host of creatures, procreation remains fundamentally observable. Nobody's ashamed. Nobody's pausing until all companions might depart. Those monkeys won't pardon themselves. It's merely an event which occurs right before any bystander. Wildlife remain incredibly unbothered regarding that. Plus, frankly, hooray towards them. Yet mankind, including prehistoric groups, appear to possess held an entirely distinct dynamic surrounding this entire scenario. Sociological proof, gathered across foraging tribes, spanning the globe, spanning the rainforest towards the desert, into tropical island nations, regularly demonstrates how intercourse gets handled like activities which must occur separated from collective viewing. Also among communities lacking any secluded resting zones, also among communities whenever everybody practically resides inside one identical chamber, members discover alternatives. Couples retreat toward the woods. Couples pause before peers fall unconscious. Couples utilize veils providing nighttime. Couples coordinate plans well beforehand. Couples remain intentional regarding this. Wherefore, since intimacy for mankind remains profoundly intertwined alongside romantic coupling, envy, prestige, coalition forging, plus communal diplomacy through a manner that just isn't regarding majority beasts, that instant copulation turns strategic, whereas within mortal civilizations, this virtually forever happens. Virtually instantaneously, this transforms into matters which require staying concealed, regulated, governed. Knowledge regarding who's coupling alongside whom yields authority. Plus authority represents whatever populations defend. Thus, indeed, our primeval forebears kept slipping away toward those shrubs 40,000 years backwards. They kept performing precisely whatever we assume they kept attempting. Plus, they definitely chose against allowing anybody to watch, since those communal repercussions surrounding getting spotted proved highly tangible alongside highly instantaneous. Certain aspects remain timeless. Certain aspects feel purely mortal. This represents one among those. Now let's move past mere tangibles. Let's converse regarding that internal existence, since here remains where topics become truly compelling, alongside a tiny fraction theoretical. Did primeval individuals possess concealed musings? Clearly, through a fundamental perspective, affirmatively. Everybody harbors reflections not another person might reach. Our cranium provides that absolute secluded territory. However, whatever we imply entails matters far narrower. Had they nurtured a vibrant, introspective mental landscape? Might they rest conscious, once everybody around dropped unconscious, while pondering regarding topics they'd never utter out vocally? Could they hold perspectives they reserved for themselves, sentiments they acted through, masked using a grin? Hidden beneath that appropriate communal reaction? This truthful response states researchers don't realize using absolutes. One cannot unearth a realization. Awareness won't petrify. Yet scientists possess hints, remarkably solid clues. One among those highly potent indicators remains artwork, particularly cavern paintings. Those renowned frescoes inside Lascaux across France, inside Altamira across Spain, inside Chauvet, they stretch backwards 17,000 through 36,000 years. Stallions, buffalo, wild ox, hand marks, polygonal patterns, semi-human silhouettes, phenomenal illustrations drafted displaying genuine mastery alongside precision. Plus, here's what's incredible regarding a majority among these. They're buried within those caverns, never near those thresholds, never across a communal zone beside those flames whenever crowds congregated. Buried within, throughout rooms which must have demanded firebrands, demanded genuine exertion, demanded intentional traversal, traversing restricted corridors alongside total blackness toward access. Wherefore might artists sketch anything inside a location virtually zero humans could possibly view? A primary hypothesis, plus it's an engaging concept, argues how those weren't communal frescoes. They weren't proclamations nor indoctrination, nor ornamentation adorning that shared gathering chamber. These stood personal deeds, perhaps ceremonial, perhaps mystical, perhaps actions resembling worship, perhaps actions resembling diary writing, yet never designed toward broad audiences. Under this scenario, we observe populations 30,000 years backwards crafting materials which remained, by nature, regarding themselves or regarding an isolated, secluded engagement, alongside energies they trusted within, yet wouldn't automatically discuss regarding publicly. That's an internal existence. That's solitude displaying a deep, alongside practically touching nature. There's furthermore that inquiry regarding individual artifacts. Plus, this could appear resembling a minor footnote, yet stay alongside us since it's genuinely massive. Researchers often uncover continually alongside spanning several land masses how primeval populations retained individual possessions, artifacts which possessed zero apparent practical utility. Some distinctive rock carved or tinted through a deliberate manner transported across hundreds of kilometers away, whence it got discovered. One fragment displaying pigment engraved using precise polygonal designs which fulfilled zero pragmatic sustenance function. Pierced seashells threaded like ornaments, plumage, peculiar remains. Those remain neither tracking implements. Those remain neither sustenance. Those represent persona markers. Items which state lacking speech. I represent a distinct human. I consider this gorgeous or significant. This item stays mine. Plus that seclusion inside one among its highly fundamental expressions. This notion arguing we possess anything which applies toward oneself, yet never toward that tribe. How one's individuality stretches outside one's physique toward belongings. How one holds through certain significant definitions property, assets which attach toward oneself, representing a separate character. This furthermore signifies plus. Here's an amusing consequence which scholars rarely converse regarding adequately. How early mankind virtually undeniably experienced robbery, since nobody could possess private property lacking that potential for somebody swiping it. One cannot claim ownership lacking a threat regarding somebody disputing. Plus, whenever societies experience thievery, societies build concealment spots. Mysteries regarding wherever individuals stash treasures. Camouflage tactics. Plus, mysteries concerning wherever we stash items remains simply another stratum regarding secluded existence, tucked silently within that initial stratum. This truly continues spiraling throughout that entire depth. Next, let's converse regarding anything which rarely becomes analyzed adequately whenever scholars converse regarding prehistoric existence. Sentimental solitude. This curated mindset. Throughout civilizations, Primeval alongside contemporary, separated alongside intertwined. There's an incredibly uniform trend. Humans display sentiments outwardly, which won't automatically mirror whatever they experience internally. We beam whenever feeling sorrowful. We look tranquil whenever internally freaking. We bob eagerly whenever somebody stands describing material which feels, honestly, agonizing. We show eagerness toward choices we consider being disastrously idiotic. We state, "I'm okay," through a pitch which signifies that exact reverse. That divide separating projected identity alongside experienced identity remains never some contemporary anxiety generated through digital networks alongside workplace diplomacy. It's an intensely prehistoric interpersonal mechanism, potentially one among those highly crucial systems mankind ever created. Since within a tiny tribe, that type involving compact, close, intertwined populations, where mankind survived inside throughout hundreds upon thousands of years, regulating whatever peers think regarding oneself isn't merely some polite formality. It's a survival tactic, genuinely. Whenever that tribe assumes you're feeble or terrified, you receive diminished supplies alongside reduced admiration. Whenever that tribe assumes you're hazardous or erratic, they could banish you. Plus, banishment during that Stone Age represented fundamentally a fatal condemnation. Whenever that tribe considers you're a terrible partner or an untrustworthy comrade, those interpersonal alongside procreative repercussions turn instantaneous. Within this framework, one's psychological baseline remains anything individuals vigorously safeguard, anything individuals regulate, anything individuals cautiously tactically maintain, unto a substantial extent concealed. Sociologists label this perception regulation, plus it's one among those highly foundational traits regarding mortal communal existence throughout every documented society. Plus it necessitates, at its deepest center, that capacity toward preserving a secluded persona which stays separated against one's outward persona, an inside which that outside cannot completely broadcast. This signifies prehistoric mankind wasn't merely acting toward their tribe, they stood conscious, they stood acting. They kept forming intentional decisions regarding whatever to display alongside whatever to obscure. This self-consciousness, this space separating the experienced alongside the enacted, that's never simply societal conduct. This remains, under any logical interpretation, a secluded existence. Let's leap ahead a fraction toward roughly 10,000 years past, during agricultural awakenings. Mankind begins cultivating. Encampments turn stationary. Inhabitant concentration surges. Plus, alongside agriculture, arrives anything which alters that fabric regarding solitude permanently. Construction holding purpose. Stationary villages emerge. Plus, nearly instantly, scholars begin to notice something fascinating throughout this historical catalog. Chambers. Divided zones inside residences. Sections which appear practically distinguished. Resting divided against culinary. Culinary divided against warehousing. Warehousing divided against those boundaries wherever visitors could cross. That tangible environment begins to reflect that societal environment through its strata, alongside its sectors, alongside its entry limitations. One among those highly renowned ancient instances remains Çatalhöyük, some Stone Age community across whatever stands currently Turkey. Originating from roughly 7500 BCE, it's one among our planet's earliest discovered proto-cities, housing for multitudes of inhabitants during its zenith. Plus, researchers have observed anything instantly astonishing regarding this. Those dwellings possess zero outward portals. Zero. People access via an opening across that ceiling. Folks factually descend downwards, some staircase toward that residence. Each household remains closed against that pathway elevation. Today, academics argue those precise motives: protection, weather, metaphorical significance. Yet practically, irrespective regarding purpose, whatever this generates remains an intensely secluded household environment. One's shelter proves physically unreachable via that soil. To penetrate unrequested, somebody needs to drop via one's rooftop. This remains never some mistake regarding construction. This represents some civilization which had formulated an incredibly distinct, alongside quite intense notion concerning that dwelling, representing some secluded defended territory, 9 plus 1.5 millennia timeframe, backwards preceding literacy, preceding metropolises. Like everyone identifies these preceding, virtually anything mankind deems society previously. That concept arguing one's dwelling stays one's alongside access demands authorization. Plus next here exist those highly fascinating aspects concerning primeval secluded existence. Genuine recorded mysteries, plots, complaints, materials, humans intentionally obscured, since whenever societies develop intricate communal structuring, plus this emerges surprisingly quickly, mankind develops every single tendency which arrives alongside this coalitions, forged through secrecy, intelligence suppressed, tactically falsehoods upheld cautiously throughout decades, rumors regarding secret issues, which various individuals stood vigorously attempting to hide. Those primeval Mesopotamians handed humanity thousands, regarding mud slabs, our planet's initial inscribed archives, plus a substantial portion regarding these represent individual epistles, secluded commerce missives, personal dialogues among citizens. Plus these documents hold matters which remain instantly alongside practically hilariously familiar grievances regarding untrustworthy household relatives. Commerce agreements forged silently outside various peers' awareness. Romantic friction currency struggles, arguments regarding bequests which had obviously kept dragging onward throughout decades, plus entails some degree regarding gathered bitterness which readers might sense permeating that dirt, through alternate phrasing, secluded existence recorded upon mud slates, 5,000 years backwards. One among those earliest epistles historically discovered some Mesopotamian mud slate, originating approximately 1750 BCE, represents practically somebody angrily whining towards some trader whom peddled them defective bronze blocks. This represents through each significant interpretation, some consumer grievance document, our planet's earliest consumer grievance. Plus also, inside this minuscule administrative shard, exists some secluded dynamic involving two distinct individuals, some conflict getting managed beyond any communal site, some standing getting defended or assaulted. They behaved exactly like ourselves. That format appeared varied. Those risks appeared varied. That script proved likely tougher toward engrave. Yet that fundamental interpersonal fabric, populations regulating intelligence, guarding personal advantages, obscuring details against several, whilst exposing matters toward peers, remained fundamentally indistinguishable toward whatever humans practice each morning. Primeval Egypt contributes another stratum, one society notoriously fixated upon mortality, landmarks, that hereafter, alongside rendering everything equally gigantic, alongside observable, alongside everlasting, as achievable, furthermore, possessed some flourishing tradition regarding fiercely secluded inscribed correspondence. Ostraka, sandstone fragments or ceramics utilized like inexpensive discardable inscription canvases, have routinely appeared throughout massive quantities. Plus a majority among these remain intimate, profoundly intimate. Romance missives, grievances, messages exchanged among laborers near Deir el-Medina, that settlement which sheltered those artisans constructing that valley regarding those monarchs. Such messages expose an absolute internal communal realm operating silently underneath that grandiose formal equivalent. Workforce conflicts, allegations regarding robbery, romances, individual health issues which citizens obviously refused wanting that entire settlement discovering anything. Quarrels concerning whoever loaned whatever, plus never restored anything. Petitions seeking boons phrased quite cautiously, since that author understood how phrasing counted. Those weren't formal dispatches. They weren't heading toward any state repository. They represented that secluded inscribed chronicle regarding average secluded existences. Citizens managing personal connections, personal anxieties, personal cravings, personal interpersonal tactics, precisely like mankind forever did. Plus subsequently everything became entombed. Plus researchers excavated everything upwards. Plus today humanity learns everything, which feels honestly a fraction awkward, alongside additionally entirely captivating, alongside additionally a warning arguing those secluded existences regarding our history stay merely secluded until somebody holding a shovel turns up. Zero remains secret eternally. That's never some contemporary worry. That's simply how chronology functions. Thus, whatever does each of these genuinely teach everyone? This teaches everyone how that craving toward solitude remains never a consequence regarding modernism. This hadn't surfaced alongside cell phones. This hadn't emerged alongside digital networks nor creator lifestyles, nor that exact contemporary paranoia regarding feeling monitored throughout every moment. It's anything which blossomed alongside awareness altogether. Alongside that instant when mankind turned self-conscious sufficiently toward comprehending how they possessed an internal realm which stayed separate against their communal facade, an identity which stayed theirs, an existence which stayed theirs. That instant this occurred, plus documentation implies this occurred incredibly soon, potentially hundreds upon thousands regarding years backwards, potentially alongside those initial sparks regarding intricate interpersonal awareness. Secrecy was generated, never representing some judicial framework, nor some theoretical doctrine, merely representing an experienced truth, representing anything which each person throughout each epoch has managed through whichever method their conditions permitted. Each cavern artist who ever traveled deeply toward that ground, toward crafting materials inside that blackness, separated against everybody. Each primeval individual, whoever stashed some valuable artifact, wherever those peers couldn't uncover this. Each Stone Age resident, whoever closed their dwelling against that pathway, plus forced guests arriving inward via that rooftop. Each Mesopotamian trader, regulating some secluded complaint upon some mud slate. Each Egyptian laborer handing some message regarding anything they refused wanting eavesdropped. Each primeval mortal whoever sneaked aside silently toward staying alongside somebody, or toward pondering anything, or toward merely staying solitary throughout 1 second inside some environment, which provided incredibly scarce instances regarding isolation. Each among these possessed secluded existences. Each among these possessed matters they refused wanting peers to discover. Each among these experienced that friction separating attaching towards some tribe alongside remaining some separate absolute character, holding some internal realm which that tribe couldn't completely penetrate. This friction, this space separating that identity which confronts that environment, alongside that identity which survives solely regarding oneself inside that blackness, inside that silence, represents never some contemporary dilemma. This remains one among those earliest mortal phenomena ever documented. This could represent, through certain perspectives, whatever renders mankind mortal throughout that initial instance. This returns myself backwards toward yourself. Exactly today, alongside one's credentials, plus one's soundtrack, plus one's highly harmless computer directory, plus one's search record, which you've beforehand determined 0 individuals shall ever view. You remain never abnormal. You remain never singularly, bizarrely secluded through a manner one's forebears might deem peculiar or extravagant. We represent that newest iteration regarding anything which has kept happening onward throughout some highly extended duration. One species which realized, virtually equally fast like humanity, turned a species, how certain aspects stay yours, certain zones stay yours, certain reflections stay yours, certain sentiments stay yours, entirely to bear or to distribute, solely alongside humans we select, or to carry alongside oneself, silently whenever we depart. Secrecy remains never a trait regarding society. It's never anything mankind engineered alongside deadbolts, nor legislation, nor information safeguarding statutes. It's a characteristic concerning remaining mortal. Completely, absolutely, obstinately mortal. Plus, evidently, humanity kept defending this, since preceding mankind even invented phrasing describing this.